It's there.
Welcome to Meat Pies and Shots 7. I'm Johnny Compton.
Dan Tomlinson. You're probably thinking, why have we just started the show laughing? Well, on the webcam thing, it says like 3, 2, 1, then you go. We're like, why didn't the record thing come on? So like, we're sort of looking at it like that.
Uncomfortable silence.
Yeah. Oh dear. So Super League round 14 then. Johnny, we'll kick off Wigan London 18-8 win for the Wigan Warriors side. No, it was 18-8. I just got it wrong on the notes. You'll still sat
Can't get assistants nowadays.
This is what happens when you go to pen and paper. You know, 2019 and me and Johnny are still using pen and paper and a dodgy webcam. But yeah,
it adds to the character of it.
Yeah, exactly. A dogged performance from Wigan. An ugly win as ugly wins go. As I said, they're starting to get results now, though, aren't they? They've won 3 in a row now. They're creeping up the Super League table. The Super League playoffs, due to the inconsistency of other teams like Hull and Cass, are generally probably an aspiration for Wigan right now. London led at half-time. They played okay. They didn't do anything out of the ordinary, but they did enough to get themselves ahead. But unfortunately, that, in my opinion, became their stumbling block in the second half, Johnny, and you'll touch on this as well. They don't chance their arm, do they? And there's one highlight you wanted to point out with a certain dancing Super League winger.
Yeah, Mr. Dancing Boy himself, Kieran the Knob Dixon. And I call him that because you may or may not recall that a couple of years ago...
2015 it was.
2015? God, 4 years ago.
Crazy, isn't it? We're getting old, mate.
Hull FC were in the midst of battering the Dobbins. And we were about 20 points up, weren't we, at the time? 24 points up, maybe something like that. Yeah. Anyway, Kieran Dixon scores a try from consolation towards the end of the game and starts doing a little dance. So he is the dancing twat. That's Kieran Dixon.
Oh, he's been upgraded now, has he? Not a nod now, he's a twat.
He's both.
It was just a stupid thing to do at a stupid time.
Yeah, well, he did. But then, right, that's him as a character. Because look at the game last Thursday. Breaks through. Wigan are winning. He could bring him right back into the game, and play and cause a few sort of butterflies, a few headaches towards the back end of it, and worries for Wigan. And what does he do? Instead of taking it away, breakthrough. And bearing in mind, this is a kid who's reported to be as fast as anybody in Super League,
which is a fair shout.
Yeah. And I'm sat there watching it, going, "Well, this is a try. Shit, why is it him? I hate him." And he goes, and instead of just carrying on straight and rounding Zach Hardaker, who looked quite pedestrian this year, doesn't look particularly quick at all, he steps inside and tries to draw him, and then goes to give an inside ball to James Cunningham, who was trying his hardest to get there, but doesn't even give the inside ball properly to him, throws it behind him. So the knock on. It just smacks of a team that don't have any confidence at the moment. And my issue with London is that they're going out there and they're playing set for set with teams. And that's all good and well if you're a team of a similar standard or a better standard and you're backing your skill level to come out on top over the course of 80 minutes, and you are literally going completion, let's get there, and you're playing to a game plan. That works. If you're the team without any strike players, without any wow factor, who probably on paper are the second best team on the pitch, then going set for set for them is not going to get you a win. Yeah, it might make it competitive and it might make it a close game.
It's not enough though, is it?
No, it's not, and it's not enough to get a win. And London need more than that at the minute, and they're going to need more than that for the rest of the season, where when I've seen London play really well, it's been when they've been chasing games, when they've been playing free-flowing and they've thrown the ball about. They've got a full-back who they on their shift play, and Alex Walker, who can cause trouble against anybody. They've got players like Reece Williams, Elliot Keir, even Dancing Boy himself. They've got pace, they've got some strike there. Ryan Morgan has played NRL, has played top-level Super League in the centre. They've got some outside backs who can score some tries. Their strength is not going to be in keeping it simple. And people say, "Oh, well, it's worked for them so far. What do you know?" Well, it hasn't worked that well for them because they're bottom of the league.
And 2 points adrift, that.
And they're competitive in most games. Don't get me wrong, they are competitive. And they've found a way that does keep them in games, and they're trying outball team. They're playing the same way as what they play in the Championship, and they're backing themselves. That's what they do. But the difference was in the Championship, they'd hang in there and hang in there and hang in there, and then they'd get teams at the end. The grand final against Toronto was a prime example of that. Where they hung in there and hung in there, and they found a way to win. They won in spite of themselves more than anything. They didn't chance their arms. And in order to survive in Super League, that's what they're going to have to do, in my opinion. I might be totally wrong, but
I think you're right. The table does it this year, and right now, say 2 points adrift at the bottom of Super League. They need to chance their arm to win games, don't they? I mean, to stay up, they're going to need about 6 or 7 wins, maybe. Probably 7, maybe as many as 8.
You'd say another 4 or 5 wins, aren't they, is what they're going to need to stay up.
Yeah, that puts them to 8 wins. That's probably what they need. And to do that, they need to, as I say, chance their arm and play some stuff. It's not good just going set for set all the time. The things with London, they came up. No one expected them to come up. No one predicted London to, get through, the £1 million game last season and be a Super League club in 2019. So to do that alone is obviously a huge achievement for them. And they are likeable. Me and Johnny, we're not saying this is an anti-London brigade. We both
want a London team.
We both want a strong London team in Super League. That, for me, enhances the Super League competition and it makes Super League stronger. So we want London to do well. And we're hoping they will do well, because obviously that means that Leeds or Rovers will go down, which will be absolutely fantastic.
We want both of them go down.
Well, in an ideal world, yeah, you want both of them.
Well, no, one of them can go down, one of them can go bust. That'll do.
Yeah, that'll do, yeah. But you say that they've got to try and chance their arm a little bit. London, they went with the squad that pretty much the squad that got them up, didn't they, last year? They haven't signed big, they haven't signed, hefty recruitments from the NRL or vice versa in Super League. Obviously, they got Ryan Morgan in, Jordan Abdul. They were their biggest signings, really, which probably
He's a big signing, isn't he?
Yeah, which probably speaks a bit of irony, speaks volumes. But
you set that one up for me, didn't you?
Yeah, but they've gone local as well, which I actually like, and they're also thinking for the long term as well. If they do go up, the likelihood was, and I mean this with the utmost respect, is that they would have gone straight back down. Right now, that is looking likely, as much as I don't want it to happen. So they've got to think about the Championship next year as well. There's no point, signing loads of players, going down, then having to sort your wage bill out, like Widnes have gone through this year. They almost went bust a couple of months ago. So I think London, they are doing it probably the right way for them, thinking about their long-term future. And the squad, if they do go down, obviously hypothetically speaking, the large majority of that squad will be in the Championship to try and get them back up again. So it's a big conundrum for them, but they've got to start playing some, more expansive rugby. And we went down a few weeks ago to London, back end of April, and I was actually, back end of March, and I was actually really impressed with them.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. But, and again, this is a but, I don't want to be Mr. Doom and Gloom merchant here, but Hull FC got into a comfortable lead against them, didn't we, in that second half? And that was the point when they started throwing the ball and playing and causing us trouble then. A bit of hot potato, as you call it. It was going...
A bit wet, though, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And losing by 4 points.
Alex Walker caused us all sorts of problems, off the back of that. And they have that ability to do it. That's how I see them potentially winning games and going there. I mean, this game here against Wigan was a game that London could have won. They could have easily won that game. Wigan weren't anything special. They were dogged. They were resilient. They were like an old Sean Wayne team, but their attack is gash.
Some irony there, isn't it? Would you just say there? A Sean Wayne team?
Yeah, they are. That's what they're like. Some of those embedded character traits are starting to come out in some of these players. Some of the fights, some of the doggedness.
So, I'll throw this at you now then, right? Mr. Ian Lenigan was the one that fell out with Mr. Wayne, got rid of him, signed Adrian Lamb as an interim head coach for a season, or should I say interim with inverted commas. Allegedly gets Sean Edwards in for next year. That falls through. The whole of Wigan, the whole Rugby League is, made a mockery of, really. And now you're saying that the performance resembled a Sean Wayne side. If that is a dose of irony,
they wish they could have a Sean Wayne side at the moment. I bet you if you ask all the Wigan fans, they'd love to go back.
They didn't like Sean Wayne because he played boring rugby. Me and Johnny have a persona with Hull FC. I could not care less how Hull FC play, as long as they get 2 competition points. It's all that matters.
We win, we win.
It's nice to speak. It's nice when Albert Kelly dances through 4 people and scores under the sticks, and we go, "Wow, this kid is class. Best free signing in Super League history." But
what you tend
2
to
points
find,
is the important thing.
With winning rugby breeds good rugby, because once you're winning and once you're confident, playing confidently, naturally players play with a bit more flair and the
more
chance
freedom.
By winning it creates that freedom. There's no coincidence now that St Helens are playing with a looseness and a freedom around them, because they know that pretty much the guaranteed top 2 now. No matter what happens, throughout the rest of the year, so they can play, they can try things, and some of the tries that they score, other teams won't throw those passes, not because they don't have the ability to do it, but because
It's a nerve.
yeah, and there's more riding on it at the moment for these teams. That they've got less of a margin of error. St Helens have built themselves up a margin for error because of where they've got to. So confidence breeds confidence. There's no magic solution to any of this. It's like if you get a group of confident players going into a game, and you probably had two teams there in Wigan and London. Neither of them were particularly confident going into this game. Wigan's attack very stagnant. They've had no real continuity in the halves. They've chopped and changed quite a bit, haven't they, between the seven? They've had Sam Powell there, they've had Tommy Luluai there, they've had Jake Shorrocks there, they've had Jared Samet there. There's an awful lot of pressure on George Williams to create, and he's a runner. That's what George Williams is. You look at Wigan's left edge, and we've talked about it on here before. The left edge is superb, but they're over-reliant on it, and they're predictable as a result. So you can number up, you can sack your right edge, and you can shuffle across and account for.
It's to go to a player.
Yeah.
If all else fails, chuck it to Williams and up for a miracle.
Yeah, and Williams goes, and he's got Gildart and Burgess and Greenwood around him, and it's a very good edge, and they're very good players. And there are times where if they execute properly, there'll be not a lot you can do about it. But you can pretty much predict where they're at with it, and their execution at the moment isn't at the level where they're catching you more often than they're not. Somebody at some point this year they'll catch a team and they'll absolutely dust them because those four players will be on fire. And there's been a couple of games where they've actually that left edge has almost won games for Wigan on the road.
Until wins at Salford.
Yeah,
Salford. To be fair to them, obviously we'll come on to them later in their game against Leeds. But they've been playing really well as of late. But Wigan went there on Easter Monday and didn't they? So that was a fair result, and that's what I'm talking about when. Say the grinding results out. They beat Salford. They grounded a win out against Castleford. You enjoyed that game. I didn't. Different opinions there. And again, this was another dull fixture, an 18-8 dogged win, but they got the job done.
I thought this was worse than the Castleford. The Castleford game there was some very good defence on show from both teams.
Obviously, it was a third game of the Easter period, which this is the one that gets you, don't they?
And to turn up with a defensive performance like that on that third game, I thought was testament to them. The skill level in this game, I thought, was really poor for Wigan and London, and I thought it comes down to there was only one halfback on either team that engaged the line, and that was George Williams, and he was predictable because he just ran. He took hit ups. That's what he did. The other three halfbacks on display, aside from aside from Jake Shorrock's try, because he scored a good try, didn't he, Jake Shorrocks? Aside from that, when they were putting the shift plays on, everything was a metre from the defensive line. It wasn't engaging anybody. It all looked pretty at times, but it's all passive stuff. London in particular are really guilty of that. I thought both halves, Morgan Smith and Jordan Abdul, didn't trouble the opposition at all. So what you end up getting is two teams trying to outbore each other, and that's what you got with Wigan and London. The standard was, I tell you what, I'll say this: Toronto, Toulouse, and York would have all beaten. They've all beat both teams.
Probably a fair shout.
With the form that they're in the championship and where they're at and the rugby that they're playing, particularly Toronto and Toulouse, I would certainly say would have won that game. They would have beat both Wigan and
Toulouse play the type of rugby we're talking about, don't they?
There you go.
Brilliant to watch at Toulouse. I've got a lot of admiration for them. Wigan then, like I say, 3 wins within a realistic chance of getting a Super League playoff place now due to the inconsistency of other teams. Yeah,
I'd throw them into the inconsistency as well.
Everyone's inconsistent.
We're going to improve from where they're at because at one point we were saying, well, they're running the risk of getting relegated. They're getting dragged into it. They've improved from where they're not where Leeds are they? They're not where Rovers are. So you can say that Wigan have improved to an extent. Have they improved enough to mount a serious challenge to the playoffs? I'd say no.
You'd say no hypothetically, but then you think. Hull, your Wakefield, your Castlefords. Look at Cass now; they've lost about 5 games in a row. They're 7-0-7 now.
It comes down to the Challenge Cup is going to play a role in all of this, and whether Wigan could well get beaten, knocked out of the Challenge Cup.
And this Warrington, very happen,
and then you end up with weeks where you can prepare, rest, and I mean that sometimes is a false dawn as well because continuation can really help teams, and providing you've got a reasonable bill of health. Sometimes playing is the best thing to do. But who knows how it's going to go. I personally don't think Wigan will be anywhere near the playoffs at the end of the season.
I won't necessarily say that they'll make the playoffs. I say they'll compete for the playoffs. They'll be there or thereabouts, and teams will have to win games to avoid, dropping out at their expense. Move on then. Another team that's struggling, and you say this is a playoff place that Wigan can pinch, is Castleford. But to be fair to them, they're doing it really tough. They played a Warrington side that are doing, more than adequate in Super League right now, beating them 26-14.
Have they changed the name to Castleford Sky Sports?
Always on Sky, aren't they?
Yeah, it's like...
I saw a Cash fan on Twitter. I can't even give him the credit of giving his name out because I forgot. But basically, he was mourning the fact that he bought his season pass because Cass, historically and infamously, have always played on Sunday afternoons. So he can take his kids, the wife, blah, blah, blah. Well, grandparents, blah, blah, blah. But it's all Thursday and Friday nights, isn't it? It's all right, maybe you can throw the odd Thursday in there. I know Hull, we had one against Castleford, ironically, at the start of the season. We go to Cass on a Thursday night. We also play London on a Thursday night.
We're on telly with Cass this Friday as well.
Yeah. We've been very fortunate, though, that our fixtures necessarily haven't fallen out on Thursday, especially away games. There's no Thursday night trips to St Helens, Warrington, and not even any Friday night trips, thank God, until Sky intervened later on in the season. But yeah, it's as I say, it's a valid point. When you're playing on Thursday or Friday all the time, your crowds are dropping. There's only six. I think there's more people at Toronto than there was at Castleford. So
real people or made up people though.
Oh come on, we're not doing conspiracy theories, are we? But everyone makes it up as they go along. Anyway, Hull FC announced an attendance of 9,830, and I'll tell you what. There was not 9,830 people
about
in that stadium.
Yeah,
at a push, yeah. So we all know everyone inflates attendances. I mean, Ihab Balam, at Hull City Association Football Club, he sort of did the trend, didn't he? And everyone
Let's not
follows.
give that knobhead any traction.
No, he's a knobhead. Google him, you'll see why. But yeah, as I say, Castleford was spirited. At one stage Warrington looked like they were going to run away with it, but Cass, to the credit, scored a couple of tries. Also had one disallowed by the video referee as well, so the scoreline could have been even more closer. I think, given the state of Castleford are in, they've lost Shenton, obviously Luke Gale. They've got some key players missing there, and some obviously a lot of talent there. So to be in the game and to throw it about and give it a go is obviously a testament to them. Warrington, as you'd expect, with a minimal injury list, did enough to win, but. You've got some worries on them, haven't you, Johnny?
Yeah, Warrington. There's holes there. I've said it all along. I can see real
Where's
holes.
Where's the biggest ones? Because obviously Darryl Hooker.
Seven.
Darryl Hooker have got an outstanding player. Darryl Clark.
Right.
Okay.
Darryl Clark and Stefan Ratchford for me are two of the best players in Super League.
Yeah, Ratchford at fullback's been outstanding. Better than I thought he could be, actually.
Really good. And I actually think you look at this game as an example, 26-14, right? You take Stefan Ratchford and Darryl Clark out of that team.
They probably don't win. Yeah, that's fair.
It's as close as that. I look at the very top level, I think Chris Hill and Mike Cooper get found out by other teams' front rows.
Chris Hill has been the same ever since he killed Hakim Melody and biting him, which was a load of nonsense. And
that whole season, I think he had a
nightmare.
He had a nightmare year.
Yeah, he still got picked in the England squad.
Well, he's gone. Players reach peaks, don't they?
Yeah.
And he reached his peak a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
and that's the reality. It's life goes in cycles. I'd say Mike Cooper's a better prop than him at the moment. Ben Curry as well. Ben Curry, and this is totally understandable. Ben Curry, you won't see the real Ben Curry until next year, I don't think, because he's had 2 years out in effect, and he needs a year just to bed himself back in and hopefully not get any more injuries.
It's a shame, isn't it? Because before his injuries, he was arguably the best batter in the country.
Yeah, and I think he probably will get back there again.
Oh, I hope he does, yeah, because obviously it's good for the international game, good for us, avid England fans, match-going England fans. We want to see the best players play for England, don't we?
In Great Britain.
No, England.
But they've got no seven. Declan Patton is not a good enough seven to win a competition. It just isn't. And then they've got Blake Austin, who's a very, very good player, but he's not a player to win you, or he might be a player to win you a game, but he's not on his own. He would have to do it. And I have my doubts whether when the going gets tough that he does it, because history tells me that he doesn't.
Yeah.
You look at him in that poor Canberra team. When they were on the back foot and they weren't doing well, he disappeared.
True.
He didn't exactly drag him out the mud last year, did he? When he was playing, he's been a very good player when his team's been on the front foot. Historically, throughout his career, when his team's not been on the front foot, he sort of disappears a little bit. And there's a tetchiness. There is a lack of temperament there with Blake Austin, where he can lose his head. I'm starting to see it already. Where the frustration's boiling in. It's like he believes that he's too good for them to do certain things, and he should just be allowed to. I mean, Hull FC, we just walked over and let him walk all over us when we played, and he seems to think that that's what every team should do for him. And anybody stands up to him, God help him. He's like, I can see him losing his head at some point.
Was that exemplified best in the St Helens game?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And he was, wasn't he? He was looking to spoil them for a fight all the way through. And look at him. And St. Helens battered them. They were physically dominant against them. At no point did you think Warrington were going to win.
No, although I did watch that game in an Irish bar and at the mark, let's say in Catalan, so I wasn't exactly in the most sober states to recall that game, shall we say.
I can tell you St. Helens were significantly better. You look at the injuries that Castleford had on that small pitch as well that they play on, and the players they were missing, and even losing McShane early in that game. Matautier turned uphill, wasn't nowhere near 100%. Nearly came off a couple.
I like him. You know, these Islanders, they always say that they produce big, tough players, but they don't necessarily have the flair. Well, obviously Matautier, you know, as a Samoan, he sort of goes away from that norm a little bit. I think he's been impressive for Castleford. He's been a really good player for him.
Now that he fits. They're a more rounded team with him in. Here's a question though, because one of the few success stories that Cass have had over the last couple of weeks has probably been Corey Aston playing at 7.
Yeah.
He's coming in and he's added a little bit, hasn't he? And played on that edge as a real genuine half. Jordan Rankin's back this week. What do they do?
I'd keep the ass of the back line's going to be tough for him.
Well, they've
obviously
got
Greg Minikin's back in here as well.
Greg Minikin plays right centre, doesn't he? With James
dropped Greg
right
Eden, so there's a wing spot.
Well, they haven't dropped him. Eden's injured, isn't he?
Well, in the actual official, squad announcement, it said it didn't say an injury to Greg Eden. It listed the injuries, but then it said Greg Eden's been.
All right,
I can't remember the actual phrase they used, but it wasn't classed.
It's selection purposes.
Yeah, that might have been the phrase. Yeah, selection.
So
purposes.
Hopefully they'll play Toyo Magoda,
which translates to being
dog
dropped.
shit.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens. Hopefully next week we're talking about Hull FC Cup win and not a Castleford Cup win. But yeah, as I say,
just on that, I mean, we talk about Cassie's back line there.
Yeah.
We said Minikin in that right centre. And there's no Shenton to play left centre. Chase Blair will play left centre.
Chase Blair, yeah.
So then they've got to find a left winger. And by the looks of it, they'll play Goda. And I have to say...
we hope they don't, yeah. Why not play Jordan Rankin?
Well, no, I'm also...
better option than...
They might do, but I hope they play Goda, because I want to say Goda is the worst rugby league player I've ever seen. No, he's beaten... Well, I might have even said it last week. He's big and strong, but he's...
That'll be... Hang on, so... He'll be on the left edge. James Clare plays right edge, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So he'll be coming up against Ratu and Lago.
No, yeah.
Good luck, mate.
Yeah.
Big Fijian powerhouse, yeah. Good luck. Speak of the devil then. Hull v Catalans, a 37-6 win for the French side, who must be said, and I'll get this out of the way first. They played some good stuff, Catalans. They deserved the win. They were completely the best side out there.
Tompkins is good for it.
Yeah, Tompkins is good, but I just want to make a point. I had a massive rant about referees after the Wakefield game, after Hull defeated Wakefield. I thought Liam Moore was an absolute joke. Ironically, Rovers fans had the same thoughts in their game against St Helens. That comes obviously later on. But we had Ben Thaler, and we've had him about 3 or 4 times this season now. I'll tell you what, he's been excellent in every single one of the games. Yeah. So, while I spit a dummy out with people like Scott Mikolauskas and Liam Moore, give credit where credit's due. Not just a referee basher. When they do well, we'll applaud them. And Thaler right now is comfortably the best referee in Super League.
He's consistent. That's what he is. You know, right? He lets a bit go. You get a slower ruck with Ben Thaler because he allows a little bit more messing about than most at the ruck. However, you know.
I don't necessarily mind that as long as you don't push. Usually with a ref, even at amateur level, I remember my coaches Ian Fresh, Paul Campbell seem to mention them two blokes every bloody week now. But they always used to say to me,
test the ref. Ian Fresh, right? I've got to remember it. Yeah, and he probably won't watch this, but I've got to tell everybody else. Lost his season pass last week, right? Lost his Hull FC season pass. Didn't even know that he'd lost his season pass. Do you know how he found out that he'd lost his season pass? Because somebody returned it to him. And he was like, oh, thanks, yeah.
I didn't even know I lost my pass.
Somebody had handed it in, given it back into the club. The club had returned it to him, and then he got his pass, turned up and gave him his pass. And he didn't even know he'd lost it. That man needs to be in a home.
That's what counts, isn't it?
Yeah.
Speaking of Freshie, throughout the Cream Tipping League, I've done the Challenge Cup fixtures for the first time ever. Bear in mind, it's only been going 1.5 seasons. And Freshie wasn't happy. He wasn't happy. It was like, why are you doing cup fixtures? It's a league. When are cup fixtures counting in a league? I'm like, Freshie, this is a tipping league. It's not Super League, is it? It's a tipping league where you predict who's going to win and you tell your points up. I thought, might be good, it'll stretch the lead a little bit because obviously there's 8 games, but he wasn't happy. He hadn't sent his tips in yet, so I don't think I'm his...
He's conscientiously objecting, is he?
Yeah, I don't think I'm his most popular person right now. But anyway, the point I was making, them two always used to tell me as an amateur player, Freshie and Cam, test the referee and see what he can get away with. And as long as you don't bend that to the extreme, if he's going to let things go, like if you can push that extra second and he's fine with it, then do it. but don't take the piss. Don't, all the ruck down so it resembles a rugby union ruck. You got there's a fine line in it, and you don't cross it. And I think
you don't want to concede a penalty, do you?
No, exactly. Bentham had that right. Players didn't take the piss. They knew what they could get away with.
Gareth Hughes was
another one. And I don't mind that style of officiating. I'd rather see that than a penalty every 2 to 3 sets.
A James Child, Robert Hicks. Yeah. We've got Robert Hicks on Friday, so. But you know what you're going to get. I think the rant, when you talk about referees, you are probably just talking about your Michalowskis, your Liam Moores, and to a lesser extent, Chris Kendall.
You said it last week, Johnny.
They're not ready.
Yeah, exactly. You said they've been promoted so fast.
Yeah.
We've had, I'll use an example. Hull FC reserves played Bradford Bulls the Wednesday that's just gone before the Challenge Cup round. And it was a referee called Billy Pearson. And I've been watching him officiate all the way back to 2015. He did Hull FC Academy games in 2015. And he's only doing reserve grade, 4 seasons later. There's a hope now that he's done some national conference games as well. And he was saying that they hope they can bring him through to championship next season. That for me is a progression. He's done 4 solid years of academy, reserves, and national conference. As he could probably argue now he's earned the right to be promoted even more now and maybe do Championship, League One, see how it goes. But that for me, you're not rushing him, are you? 4 years is a long time. He's probably refereed about 100 games.
It's not a long time, is it? That's the thing. I'd say that's bordering on almost being fast tracked. You look at people in the careers.
100 games.
No, look at it this way, right? People within you're looking at it purely from a rugby league perspective, and I think with referees, that's not necessarily the way to do it. You go into the normal workplace, and in order to get promoted 2 or 3 times, you're not looking at 4 years, I'm telling you. You're looking at the best part of 10, 15 years. People stay within the same role and learn that role and get better at it for a period of 4 or 5 years. It's
just where the fast tracking comes from, because you haven't got the luxury of that waiting for that time period. That's the problem.
That's your standard interview question, though, isn't it? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Well, yeah, true.
It's not.
Well, in a referee's case, then still refereeing academy and reserve grades.
4 years is not being fast tracked. I don't think. I think it's about right. We go back. I mean, it was a good point you make though about Ben Filler. He's definitely the right player, the right referee. And if you're looking at a referee for the finals later on in the year, I think
right now it's Fairline,
100%.
So they'll give it to Scott Michalowskis. But Catalans then. Before I have a rant about Hull, what do you think of Catalans?
I thought they were all right without being spectacular.
They
bombed some tries.
Yeah, they definitely bombed some tries, but they scored some good tries as well. They kicked one where Tony Gigio put the kick through, and I can't remember what got the end of it now.
For me, I thought the Scott
Justin Horror
who plays for Wakefield.
Oh no, Darren Maidam. Why? It's one of those days, isn't it? Justin Horror plays for Wakefield. Why did I think? Because he scored against Hull the week before. That's why on a kick.
Look, Catalan.
I was half right. It's got the opposition wrong.
Catalans are a decent team who are very up and down and they'll score. The Odas, I backed us to beat them, and I shouldn't have ever done that, knowing that.
You always
that Sneed and Kelly. Yeah, knowing that Sneed and... I say that. I didn't back them against Saints and Warrington earlier this year.
Yeah, only stupid people would have backed up to beat St Helens.
I think a lot of this performance... You look at this in isolation, 37-6, and you think, never in it. First 20 minutes, I thought we were the better team. I genuinely
was competing. We were in the game.
I thought Mickey Payer and Scott Taylor in particular took it to them. Thought Danny Houghton had a decent first half. He was getting out of dummy half. He's pedestrian with his passing though at the moment, and it's really. But he started off a quick play of the ball. He was worrying them early on in the game. And if you look at the whole game as a total, he didn't have a particularly good game. You look at the first 20 minutes, he caused Catalan's problems. Yeah, and I think we caused Catalan's problems as a side. What happened was we weren't patient enough. And our interchanges and our backup players were not at the same level when they came on, and Catalans kicked in, coupled with the fact that we came up with some key errors at important times. And without wanting to throw the kid under the bus too much, Connor Wynn had a nightmare, but also so did Jake Connor, the pair of them, and the discipline side of being sin-binned either side of half time or just before half time, and so that we were a man down either side of half time was a big thing to us, and that's why the game went away from us. We were still in it. It was a 1-score game when he got sin-binned.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then they scored, I think, another 2 or 3 tries. I think scored 18 points while he was off. So at a time when you're asking him to stand up and lead the team around the park and be the halfback that he tells everybody he is, that he says the position he wants to play, He did a good audition for the fact that he's a centre for me.
Catalans, like I say, they killed the game straight after half time while Connor was in the bin, didn't they? It was Tony Tuesday who scored that try as well.
Our numbers were wrong though, wasn't it? And this is...
Well, this is where it comes down to Connor Wynn. People will say it's tough. He has been dropped for the cup game the week after as Connor Wynn, but he made some errors. He's an 18-year-old kid. He's
going to make errors, isn't he? Yeah.
He's played 5 Super League games. His first 4, Salford, Catalans, the Derby, Wakefield at home. He played well in all 4 of those games. He was solid, for a young lad. He came in, scored a few tries. He looked okay. Unfortunately, it's a tough game. That's where it comes in it with a youngster doing it week in, week out. That's when it becomes tough. And yeah, there was some errors. I'm not just talking about high bombs. He got, some of his numbers either side of the ruck were wrong. And it's a learning curve for him. It's how he responds. He played in the reserves, on the Wednesday night afterwards at Bradford, and by all accounts, 2 try assists. Horrible conditions, soggy, torrential rain, heavy rain all day. Comes in, does okay, made less errors than he did the previous Friday. So that probably tells you a little bit about his character, a lot about his testament as a rugby league player. So fair play to him. I just want to see, a little bit of realism. And I say this as Hull FC fans, we can be hot-headed at times. Hull FC announced the squad on the Wednesday, the same day as the Bradford game, and Connor Wynn wasn't in it, and there was a total meltdown on both Twitter and Facebook. So, Bradford's, scapegoating again. No, he's not scapegoating. He's
picking the players.
He's being reasonable. You throw Connor Wynn in again against Cass in a high-pressure cup game, maybe bringing him down a peg or two is the right thing to do in the long term. Maybe it'll do his confidence some good. And you never know, he'll come back and he'll learn from it. He's got Jamie Shaw as a mentor.
I'd argue at the moment that both Jake Connor and Josh Griffin are better options for this week to play fullback.
Well, I'd go with Griffin. I'd go with Griffin at fullback, and I'd put Connor in the centre.
No, Connor is a centre. He's an out-and-out centre. I think we play him fullback. We're going to go wide, aren't we? And play wide.
It'll be lateral. Lateral. Yeah. I would definitely go Griffin at fullback. You know what you're going to get with Griffin. He's not a ball player, but that's what Westerman's there for. You play Westerman at 13. You've got Kelly and Sneed either side.
What do you do as your centre? Because we're going to have a straight choice out with Cam Scott or Jack Logan then.
Jack Logan. With Ratu outside him, Ratu and Lago on the wing. Over edge obviously picks itself, Connor and Brett Freeman.
So you think Jack Logan's ahead of Cam Scott in the pecking order at the moment?
Well, I think he's ahead in that.
As a winger, I thought he had a poor game as a centre.
Yeah, he did.
Defensively,
you could probably argue that, but Cam Scott came in against St Helens. A different level of opposition, obviously. St Helens are hands down the best.
If you do play Griffin, right? If you do play Griffin at fullback, it does allow you, that they'll play Jake Connor left centre then, wouldn't they? Yeah. Jack Logan came through the system as a left centre and was a very good left centre and looked dangerous with
you could argue he's a better winger now. I'll give you that. It was a tough game for him, but I'll tell you what, some of his errors there. There was a pass from C. Camano. It was absolute made ball. I don't know what you're doing. You should have given him at least 2 seconds earlier, give him a chance.
Yeah. There you go, right? That game there, we had our opportunities early doors and we bombed them, didn't we? And we invited Catalans back into the game. We had
chances to score, especially after we went 6-2 up. We could have extended that lead, but we bottled it.
Yeah. So the game could have been completely different, and then Catalans with their big pack ground us down, and they
deserved the win. Really,
we got our numbers wrong, and they executed well.
They played some slick stuff, some nice tries. A scrum play try for that.
It was a poor quality game, though.
Yeah, well, like they all were. We've said that already, haven't we? Yeah. Super League this round, and Johnny will do that in his rant. It was a poor game there. Moving on, then. Also, if you want to hear more about Hull FC, upthecream.co.uk. There's always a podcast as well. Soundcloud.com/.
Who's the editor for that now?
Some muppet called Dan. But I've also heard some muppet called Johnny features on it, and maybe occasionally does the odd article too. So interesting. Moving on, Salford Leeds 28-16 win for Salford. They avenged the heavy defeat they got to the same opposition at the same venue a few weeks ago, or should I say a couple of months ago now, actually. So please
Leeds hammered them a few months ago.
That's
what
I mean.
It wasn't just a win; they took them apart, didn't they?
Which was surprising. I thought it was really surprising. To be fair, that margin was anyway. Fair play to Salford. They've had a really good Easter period. They're knocking on the door of the playoffs now with a really good points difference as well. And this is what infuriates me about these defeats Hull FC are getting. Points difference. It could generally come down to points difference. If you finish higher in the playoffs, or even if you get a playoff spot to begin with. Salford.
Well, you don't want to be finishing 5th and then go to St Helens, do you, in the first week?
Pretty much straight out there, right? Yeah. But it's an interesting topic there. Salford, they've got a really likeable coach in Ian Watson. Pound for pound, you could probably argue he's right up there as Super League's best coaches. He's had to rebuild the squad 3 times, and obviously they had a really good squad a couple of years ago. I know they fell away, but they still made the Challenge Cup semi-final, didn't they, in 2017? Got beat by Wigan. They've got a good roster. They've got some good players. They've got some good young players as well, and they play the right type of rugby for me. I know we've just said that with like, as long as you get the 12 points, it doesn't matter. But obviously, rugby league's our favourite and best game in the world for a reason. That's because when it's played right, it's amazing to watch. And Salford are a testament to that. They do play some good stuff. They've got as I said, Watson, the job he's done there is ridiculous. They've lost loads of players. Players have moved on to so-called bigger clubs. He's had to rebuild. He's got a squad now, which for me,
Salford are the team and should be the blueprint for London.
Yeah,
right. Because
or Rovers.
Well, you look at it, and you look at the forwards, and there's some journeymen in there, aren't there? Some players who you think they're not superstars.
But then there's some honest players in there. So some players that know they're not the best, but they know they'll do a job.
So these guys know that if they go set to set throughout and literally just do that, they're going to get beat.
Yeah.
All right, and so they do. So they do play expansive.
Yeah.
They get, and I'm not saying they throw the ball out the backsides and they're throwing it all over the place in Harlem Globetrotter stuff.
But they do play some good stuff. Yeah.
But they get a foothold in the game, and as soon as there's an opportunity to do so, they go to an edge and they hit an edge and they play out the back to Niall Levels, who I think is a really good player.
Massively underrated.
What they've done right is they've got themselves a really good spine in Evels, Louis, Hastings, and Lussick, and for them, their spine's fit. That's a main thing. They've got durable players who have played just about every game, and so they're right up there. I wrongly thought Salford would completely capitulate and fall away this year, and
that was your tip for allegation.
Yeah, there was. I thought 1 or 2 injuries and they would really struggle. It seems re-signing Jackson Hastings was an absolute masterstroke for them. One thing I will say though is I hope he doesn't play for freaking Great Britain. And the same with all these other Aussies who was like, can you imagine I tell you what, if there's an halfback pairing of Blake Austin and Jackson Hastings with Lachlan Coote at fullback for Great Britain, I'm not watching. I tell you, and they might not care. They might think Johnny from Hull, who gives a frig? But I tell you, I wouldn't watch it.
No, I'm
a died in the heart international fan.
I'll still watch it, but I won't go. Obviously, I won't go. Obviously, it's in Australia, it's in New Zealand anyway.
If they picked Hastings, Austin, and Coote, I'm not watching. Well, said it now.
What's the St George winger now? St George of the World Dragons winger. He's got an English
Pereira,
Jordan Pereira, English mum. Let's get him on the wing as well.
Well, no, he's put his hand up, says he wants to play. There's another one that he's like, it's not happening for me.
Chris McQueen's back playing for West Tigers now. Let's get him there as well.
But anyway, with Salford, to go back to this, their spine is really good, and they are settled, and they know they play. Leeds, on the other hand, are not settled. And the upheaval this game was David Ferner's last game in charge before he got sacked. And I think
not sat in it. I think it's nuts. I think the accountability should go higher.
Do you know what though? With this, right? You say with Leeds, they've sacked David Ferner. The new coach is Rich Agar. What does he have on Kath Everington and Gary Everington? He must have some pictures somewhere. He must have. Everybody says he's a nice bloke. Everybody says he knows his stuff.
He gets jobs, doesn't he? He got jobs down under.
He gets all these jobs, right? And he's never been successful in any of them. Where's he been successful?
What do they see that fans don't? I'd love to know the answer.
It might be very astute. He's obviously a likeable fella, and obviously people like him. But is that really the measuring stick for picking a coach? Technically, he might have all the knowledge in the world. It doesn't mean that you're going to be the greatest coach in the world. You've got to be able to pass on your ideas and make people better and bring teams together. I'd rather
have a bastard as a head coach, and I'll use
I've never ever seen any evidence though with Rich Agar that he has the ability to make his team better. Lots of people have always said that he's a good coach and he's a very, very good assistant coach because he is that matey type of coach who brings people in and stuff. But as you said, you need the authority, don't you, if you're going to be a head coach somewhere. And
I use my NRL club Penrith as an example now. I've got a mate in Australia called Rich Harrison, who's all the down underdog for the fans, with Cream and another pub. But anyway, he said now that under Anthony Griffin, he was a tough, hard-nosed head coach. And the players could get away with anything. They used to beast them in training, used to flog them. And it made them, a tough side. Penrith over the past 3 years, they were been a playoff team in 2016, 2017, 2018. And, they got to the, minimum of week 2 of the final. So they were clearly doing something right. Gus Gould decided to get rid of Anthony Griffin. And I don't actually think he brought his replacement. I think that's more to do with the board. And that's probably why Gus Gould has now walked from the Panthers. But now Ivan Cleary has come in. And Rich said to me, the players will love that because you can get away with murder with Ivan. It doesn't show any emotion. It doesn't show any traits that he's annoyed or pissed off with what you're doing. Penrith are getting, well beaten every week, yet he sticks with the same 17. He's not chopping and changing like he should do with coaching this situation. And I purported that the players can go back to, dare I say, old ways. Before Gus Cole came in, Penrith were an absolute joke. They were embarrassing. There was a drinking culture. It wasn't good, put it that way. It was not good.
You've had the Tyrone May stuff this year, though. Well, it's that second bottom of the league.
That's what I'm saying. You've brought Ivan Cleary in. You've lost that authority that Anthony Griffin had, and already there's been a sex scandal.
Leeds for a long time, where the fans were saying, "Oh, Brian McDermott's time for him to go."
He's winning comps when they were saying this. It's absolute madness.
He's
Subway's most successful coach ever.
It smacks to me of a little bit the same Hull FC fans who are the Radford Out Brigade whenever we lose a game. Where's the loyalty in the game gone? And David Ferner, right? Leeds backed him heavily in the summer.
So this is my point. I said as soon as you mentioned Dave Ferner, I said people higher up need to hold some accountability. Best part of £1 million they've spent on Trent Merrin,
Tuli
Lolohea and Conrad Hurrell. Best part of $1 million, a 7-figure sum. That is huge. They're all three marquee players.
So they're on more than half of the salary.
Exactly. What gets me right? Whose decision to bring those three players in? It wasn't Dave Fairness because some of them were signed before Dave Fairness was announced as head coach. So
Sinfield.
That's Kevin Sinfield, or it's even higher than that. Well, it's Mr. Hetherington.
Yeah.
So why does the blame lie with Dave Fairness? You're 14 rounds in.
They're saying they've given him a side that's capable of winning the championship. Maybe the championship. They might be capable of winning, but not
Did you actually say the championship? Though?
I don't know.
That's brilliant. Yeah, the championship as in the championship, not as in the soul point.
I reckon Toronto and Toulouse would have something to say about that.
I'll tell you what.
There's something really wrong, isn't there, with Leeds? They've got
he's smoking.
They've got some really good young kids coming through as well, and I think they should start the likes of Tom Holroyd and let me pronounce this now, Mustafi or something like that. Anyway,
good effort. I'm not even going to give it a go.
Carl Trout, another one that they've got some good young kids.
Nikolai Aletsky.
Well, he's already pretty much established now. Aletsky,
you could say Jack Walker as well, but again, he's established himself.
So
that's your point.
And Newman as well. You got Harry
Newman in the centre. Yeah.
So they've got some good young kids coming through. A good core of Leeds kids coming there to supplement some players, and they need young kids because they've spunked all the salary cap. Yeah.
But I'm actually speechless there. The fact that they've come out and said that's a squad good enough to win so that is absolute madness. They've got no arse for a start. Well, Richard Mount was dreadful, and Lola Here's a bag of shite.
Lola Here's a fullback, isn't he? They've signed a fullback.
His best game for Leeds this year was that fullback.
Yeah, that's what he is. He's a fullback. He always has been, and it's quite a good fullback if you can get him fit, which nobody's been able to do for a long while. There are deep-rooted problems there, but it's Gary Hetherington. It's not going to change. It's a club run in a similar fashion to how Hull KR are run with Neil Hudgell, where you've got a figurehead at the top who, what he says goes, and is involved at all levels of the club. They always... McDermott worked wonders there for the last 3 or 4 years because they had the 1-2 comps when really they had a team in transition.
So the last one, the 2017 grand final win, McDermott actually blew it up and said how amazing it was, and he was right. It was incredible because that Leeds squad either side of that grand final win were middle eights, Super League qualifiers,
and that's where they are. That's the true reflection of where they are now. The players from that squad that are still there at the back end of the career and have run their race, haven't they?
Yeah.
They're ready to retire. Likes of Jamie Jones Buchanan, as much as he's been a brilliant player for 20 odd years now, but he's not a top level Super League player anymore. Granted, he's not playing all the time. They've invested big on people like Brett Ferries who haven't lived up to the hype.
No.
At 9, I think they've got problems. Not because either of the players are bad, but they don't know which one's the best one.
Brad Dwyer and Matt Parcell.
Yeah, so there's a switch and change, from either week, and in your 9 impacts how you play your game so much. And then that has a knock-on effect to your half. So neither of us particularly rate Richie Mara and think it is all that, but it must be difficult when you don't know when you're going to get the ball, who's going to give you it, who the guys are running around you. And
they're just all over the place, aren't they?
There is no continuation there. What I'll say, and the league table belies this a little bit, is I do think the basis of their squad is stronger than, say, a Wigan's. Do you know, if you can get a coach, if you can find a coach who can settle on his best team and get them all pulling in the right direction, whilst they're not a team that's going to win the comp, they're not a team that should be relegated either.
True.
Do you know, they've got some real weapons there, and the two centres in Watkins and Hurrell will score tries. Yeah. Jack Walker is a good player. You know, Lola here. I've said this all along. What I would do with Leeds, Jack Walker would be 6 for me. I'd have him as a running half, and the big hole is, and I'd have Lola here at fullback. The big hole is at 7 with Marla. You're stuck with him until you get a half of a kicking game. They're not going to win a comp. They're not going to push anybody. But they're a better team than where they're at. The likes of Cuthbertson, the likes of Singleton, the likes even Brett Ferries. These the solid citizens, aren't they? Do you know who are better? They're too good, or you'd say they're too good to be relegated, or they should be. You just need to find a structure for them to play in that's going to get the best out of them, and that's what they've not got at the moment.
Moving on then, Huddersfield v Wakefield, 26-25 win for Wakefield. Ironically, this game, when Hull's game finished and Huddersfield were winning 25-24, I was like, this night might not be as catastrophic as I thought. Hull, barring that last try, Catalan scored, would still been third, but then it all went tits up. Catalan scored, which put Hull to 4th, and then Wakefield got a penalty goal, which put Hull to 5th. So, sod's law in it with points difference.
It's only close though, isn't it? I mean, it's like a try here and there. We could go and win in the next round of Super League and be third again. Everybody's like, look at us, we're in third.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not much different. We're not in much of a different position.
It shows how tight it is as well. That's good for Super League though. It shows that it's competitive.
There's two ways of looking at it. I'm a glass half full, so I'll say, yeah, it is competitive. Other people are saying, well, it's a sign that the competition's really poor this year, outside. I don't think it is.
It's been better this year than it was last year.
It's people are having and again, I will come on to it in my rant, but people are getting more and more carried away with the recent games and the quality of the recent games, and I think there are underlying factors behind why that is the way
it's called Easter.
Yeah. But Wakey and Huddersfield, I mean, I noticed on you call them the West Yorkshire Mafia a little bit with the West Yorkshire Press.
West Yorkshire Mafia.
Yeah. They're on that. They were all having a little bit of an argument with each other because one of them, I can't remember which one, I think Mark Wilson or Matthew Shaw or somebody like that. They'd put a tweet out to say that Wakey go away in games. Yeah. So that Wakey.
Matt Shaw had a pop at Wakefield because they couldn't win tight games.
Yeah, saying that they fall away.
Yeah, so then he got on his high horse because they didn't.
And he said, and he retweeted, said, this aged well, didn't it? But Huddersfield are a crap team. They're a team with problems, aren't we? Who do fall away.
Simon Wolford, he says, I know we say this every week, but he questions the mental toughness of them week in, week out, doesn't he?
I think
it's still an incredible win. I won't say actually not incredible, it's probably a bit too far-fetched, but it's a respectable, it's a commendable, that's a good word.
Wakey have found a way to beat a team without their halves in. That's
no Jacob Miller.
No Danny
Brough. No Tom Johnston. No Bill Tupou.
No Matty Ashley.
So they had David Fafita practically playing as a prop / half.
Yeah, Fafita and Carter and Chester both said this. Reece Lynn and David Fafita have been massive for him in this period.
Well, Reece Lynn's again is an underrated Super League player now. He's come
top meat maker in Super League now.
Come through the ranks at FC, didn't really get much of a chance. He was thrown out the back door. He's improved massively at them. He's, as I say, a very good Super League player.
He's found a home. He's found a position. He knows his game inside out.
And fair play to him. The David Fafita one's interesting. He was very good by all accounts on Friday evening. The kick throw, he's putting kicks through now as a prop and chasing them, scoring. Obviously, a bit of luck in there as well.
I think we can be guilty. I'm going to take issue with this a little bit. I think with Fafita, we can be guilty of over enhancing and blowing smoke up his arse a little bit with some of the... Yes, he does some good things.
Well, I said this after the Hull FC game last week, John. He got given 2 Man of Steel points, but I didn't think he was actually that good against them. There was better props on the field.
It does eye-catching things, he does flashier things, but sometimes some of the things you want your prop forward to do and to... When the grunt's there, I don't think he does that. I think he gets interested 40 metres from their line.
You're not the first person I've said, actually. The Easter Thursday game against Wakefield, as you do, you browse Twitter as you're watching it, and a couple of comments were saying, if Fafita he looks interested, literally touches the ball when he's within 30, 40 metres of the opposition try line.
David Fafita would be a really good player if you had 4 props. Okay, and then at the moment he's having, and it's not necessarily his fault because his game is what it is, you know, and he's the sort of prop he is. If you say you had 4 props and you bring them all in to do different jobs, and I go back, they weren't the greatest for, but you go back to the whole FC had 4 in Ewan Dowes, Paul King, Gareth Carvell, and Jamie Thackeray. You know, you go back to
Props.
Yeah, 2005 props, and that foursome was then would start with Dowes and Kingy, and then you bring Thackeray and Carvell on, and I'd liken Fafita. Thackeray was probably that player in that team.
Yeah.
Do you know where it was your attacking prop? Do you know he'd come on in, he'd come up with an offload, he'd run a good line. Yeah, he'd bust. Yeah. He'd bust that. He was an attacking threat. And if you put Fafita at the very top level in a pack as an attacking prop coming off the bench like that, he would be awesome. He'd be really good. I'm not saying he's a poor player at all. I mean, and he's playing big minutes. He's doing a job for that team, you know, where he's working hard. He's going all right. I just don't think his natural game is to roll your sleeves up and do the tough stuff. And I don't think it's naturally what suits him or what he's the best at. I think he's a charismatic guy, and we don't have enough characters in the game, so the media have jumped on it.
I don't have a problem with that, though. We need personalities in the game.
They do, but let's not over-egg his performances. You look at it where he is on the Man on Steel charts, and I'm going to go back to Johnny Lomax again, but I look at Johnny Lomax is head and shoulders the best player in our competition this year. He's nowhere near the top of that.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder about the people that are judging it and where they're at. And
they're based on lots of stats, though, don't they? Well, by the look of it, that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
We've had some ludicrous ones this year so far. Crazy. The Fafita thing, I'll go back to a point, and we did mention this on Meat Pies a few weeks ago. I was at a reserve game, got talking to a certain 38-year-old ball fellow that applies his trade in Super League.
Not me, I'm 36. And I don't apply my trade in Super League either.
But he said the Fafita brothers, yeah, great, they can do some flashy stuff, but when the going gets tough, they hide away a little bit. I think there's evidence to suggest both of them do that, and you know, Andrew in the NRL.
I'd say at the moment, David's probably looking like the premier player out the two of them, which is crazy. Maybe that's just the comp he's in. But...
Yeah, I was going to say the comp is obviously a lot less a standard, but I think it's a fair analogy. But as I say, a lot of credit goes to Wakefield. They're doing it really tough at the minute. A lot of injuries, as are Hull and Cass and Rovers for that matter, and anyone else if you give them the time of day and listen to the ramblings. But I think you got to give Wakefield praise. They're doing, they are doing it tough. They've managed to get 2 wins out of the 4. Games over, the back end of April, early May, so it's not the worst form in the comp, and they say that if they're targeting the period of games now while both Brough and Miller are out right now, if they could win half of those games, I think they'd be pretty content with that, and right now they are doing that.
Yeah, so they'll go all right. They're finding a way to win some games with those players missing when we're struggling to win games with players missing. So,
well, you compare the two, and obviously Catalan's a little bit better than Huddersfield, but a lot better than Huddersfield, but you compare the 2 results. Wakefield doing it tough, they get it out there. Hull doing it tough, throw a few players in, they get stuff. So
I look at it though. Lee Radford came out with something interesting this week, and he was like, "We're still in a really good position to win both comps."
Oh yeah, in theory,
and you are right. Yeah, nothing's won at this time.
If you've got your 1-17 on the field, I'm still back with FC.
More times than not.
More times than not. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next Super League game. I hope Hull can go as full tilt or as close to full tilt as they possibly can go when they go to Warrington, because it's a top 2 team and I don't want to get stuffed again. Hull must compete. If they get beat, fair play, but they've got to go down fighting. They can't just turn over and get stuffed again.
Well, you say that if they get beat. I'm not one for liking it. I know it takes us on to the next game, Rovers Saints, right? And I've got issue with a lot of Rovers fans here with this one, and this isn't just me being a black and white, having a go at red and white shite. This is me saying that they seem genuinely happy that they got beat 42-26. They were like eulogising over the performance of some of their players who still conceded 42 points at home and got beat. You listen to them at the start of the year, Rovers were supposed to be all conquering and the next big thing and superstars. And look, that's a little bit tongue in cheek because obviously St Helens are where they are in the league and we're back end of Easter and teams are busted. And if you look at OKR side, they went far off their strongest team, taking on St Helens there. Never mind the spin that old Tim Sheens gives you. They were in decent position. They had their spine there together. Sean Lunt was playing. They had Drinkwater. They had Maguire. They had Atkin on the bench. They had Craig all playing fullback. They were
been their best player this year.
Yeah, they're rubbing an iron about giving him a deal for next year. Crazy, same as Atkin.
Well, there's your 2 best players.
But they've come away, and at no point were they ever really in the game to win it. yet they've come away happy, and it's a wrong way of looking at things. And you say about us going to Warrington next week. I want us to beat them. I want us to go there and really be in the game. And you say like, if you can walk away, you can walk away with your head held high and say, oh, at least we give them a game and stuff. But these teams have got holes in them. They're not superstars. St Helens had players missing.
It's 42-26 giving them a game. That's the stuff, isn't it? You've just conceded.
Yeah, they just scored a couple of tries to make...
8 tries, 5 conversions. That's a mullering.
St Helens had their left edge. There was no Percival there. And Regan Grace, for me, is gashed defensively. So they were playing Costello and Percival there. There was no Luke Thompson playing. So they had players missing themselves.
Yeah.
Granted, not as many as Ulkiar. And Ulkiar do still have the likes of Adam Quinlan missing. But it just happens they're in better form. And we become, and Hull FC have done this as well, we become accepting of poor form too easily and saying, oh, well, we're not playing that well. Well, it's not... These players are capable, and they're capable of doing it, and accepting mediocrity is not something any club should do, and that's why they're down there in 11th, because they're prepared to accept mediocrity.
So if I said to you, Warrington win the game next week against Hull FC 22-20,
I still go home really pissed off.
Really?
My week's not a good week, because if Hull FC have got beat, I don't watch the game back. Genuinely, I want us to win. If we went to Warrington and we won 11-10 and we played absolute gash and we were really lucky, I'd love it. Absolutely.
We've said it's all about the 2 points, isn't it? I don't care how they play, how much
it's about winning. It's not about competing. It's about winning this game.
So, St Helens then, very impressive. Again, with the ball in hand, they're head and shoulders the best team in the competition right now.
Johnny Lomax, I'm telling you.
Yeah. It's a fair shout. Johnny Lomax has been incredible. Well, we have the luxury, well, I say the luxury, it was against our club, so it probably wasn't a luxury. But he absolutely ripped Hull FC to shreds on Easter Monday. He was incredible.
Best individual performance I've seen this season.
Yeah, it was on a different planet, one of Johnny Lomax. And to be fair to Lomax, it was good for England as well.
Other people get the plaudits though in this team, and that's what I don't necessarily... Rugby only has to turn up and he gets like man of steel points.
Well, that's a joke. Yeah, Lomax got done. Yeah. Well, we had the luxury of going to all 3 England games last season, and we said, we reflected on it when we went with our mates Fresh Sheet Camp, and the names again. And we said who was impressed us the most, and Johnny Lomax was the name that came out more than not. So, and he's carried that into Super League this year.
You see him live and you appreciate him as a player more, and then you watch what he's doing in that, and he doesn't look like he's the fastest, doesn't look like he's strong. His evasion, his
running game is unreal. Yeah, he's just a brilliant player, an outstanding player.
He's got time.
Another one that's come back from a serious knee injury as well, so and you commend that.
His execution is first class. Yeah. That's what it is, and that's I'll say this is the difference between St Helens and the rest of the Super League at the moment. And I'll even throw Warrington into this as well. I think Saints are better than them because their execution, as in their shift players, are so much better than anybody else's. Their right to left and their left to right, so they invariably come up with an overlap and score tries. They're just so dangerous. Very, very, very good team.
Lachlan Colt, thoughts on him?
7 out of 10. He gives them balance, right? He's key to that team, and he comes in. He's a 7 out of 10 every week.
Don't do the flashy stuff, but he does the important stuff.
Yeah. He gives you a left foot kicking game. He's enabled them not to play Richardson. He's enabled them to,
which is obviously a great thing because he's gash.
He's had some decent games while he came in. He's as a backup half in any squad, which is what he essentially is now in there.
Well, yeah. The way, like I say, the way Lomax and Fadge are working together.
He's a good level player. And it was a Super League dream team last year. Now he's a backup half in St Helens squad.
I'll get us to a media pass for a media pass and shots next year, then we can vote on it. So,
so we've got but Lachlan Coote,
Charles, Farima, Carlos, get Connor, Sneed, Kelly.
I'd put it this way, right? Lachlan Coote has not been as good as Johnny Lomax. He's not been as good as Stefan Ratchford.
No.
There are better players in his position.
No, I'm talking about Great Britain now. Johnny Lomax is the best player in Super League right now. 100% agree with you that.
Yeah. So Lachlan Coote's a good player who's added to them. He's made them a more rounded team.
Yeah.
And his execution again, the same as Lomax's, and his decision making is very good.
Like you said, the kicking game was probably something.
But he plays out.
He
effectively plays outside of Johnny Lomax, doesn't he? And it's the space that Lomax is creating for him, for me, which allows him to. And then he's got strike on the outside of him on either side.
Yeah.
Usually he's had Percival and Grace, or he's had Makinson and Nagama, and all of them are in front. Nagama is one. I'll hold my hand up. I've said rubbish signing, average NRL player. And
that makes you a very good Super League player, doesn't it?
Yeah, and he's come here and he's he's steadily grown into the competition, but it's confidence. It's playing in the winning team, like going forward on the front foot.
7 tries in 2 games against the 2 Clubs, isn't it? One thing that has impressed me about St Helens to finish off on the Saints then, the back rowers. Zeb Tyer's been good, but Dominic Peru has been absolutely outstanding. Probably he's another one that's reached a level that many wouldn't have thought he was capable of.
Well, Zeb Tyer's back end of his career is a similar age to a Sika Manu and Mark Minicello. Is that sort of? I think he's 35 or something like that.
He's old. He definitely is.
Well, he was. I'm sure he was 33 when he came back to St Helens.
So plus about 34, 35. Yeah.
So, but he plays with energy. And he's a threat, both attack and defence on that edge, and the same with Peru.
Yeah.
Peru in particular, his footwork is superb.
Yeah.
But you'd expect that because he started as an outside back, but he was a different sort of outside back. He was massive. He always has been, and he's New Zealand warrior, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He came from, went all right in the NRL. Was signed as a centre really for St Helens, being turned into a back rower. Perfect balance to their team. They're a really well balanced team, and as I said, if you're picking the team now, if you're looking for a team that's going to win Super League now, then you'd be stupid not to say St Helens. That being said, nothing's won this time of year.
Well, did we have these same conversations about St Helens this time last year, didn't we?
We did.
I do think they're better. I think that's a fair assessment to say they're probably better now than they were 12 months ago. They play some brilliant rugby, but they play winning rugby, don't they?
They've only got to lose 2 games, haven't they, and they win nothing.
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? But as I say, people, I might save this for a future rant edition, but in brief, people whinge about Super League, like the fact that some people that shall remain nameless, shall we say, they moan that Super League isn't a first past the post situation. But it can't be.
Because it's not. We know who's going to win now, won't we?
Well, yeah, but there is that. But it's not a level playing field because everyone doesn't play each other home and away the same amount of times. We play Whitfield at home twice, yet we go away to Catalans twice. Other teams play 2 teams at home and then they play others 2 times away. So it's not a level field, if you like. That's why the NRL, you can't have the NRL as a first past the post because in the NRL, you don't even play everyone home and away. So it has to be a playoff concept. The Premier League works because everyone plays each other home once, away once. So you can't do first past the post.
I love the excitement of the play. Everybody knows the rules of the comp before you start, so you can't complain.
Rugby League has been a playoff system probably about 75% of the time it's existed. Even you think back to the 50s, Hull FC won a couple of playoff systems. I think it was 56 and 58. I think they finished about 2nd and 3rd in the league, but they won the playoffs, and then overall they are the Rugby League champions.
Yeah.
So it's more than not, it's been that, and I don't have a problem with that.
We know how the champions are picked. If it was first past the post, then you'd be going all out in the league to win every single game. As it's not, as it's a playoff system, it's about making sure that you're in the best shape possible at the back end of the year to have a good tilt at the playoffs.
If we ever do go first past the post, and like I say, you're going to have to increase the comp to maybe 14, 16 teams, and then play everyone home and away, and then it is like that. But until you do that, you can't. And
even then, I'd say first past
the playoffs work though, don't we? We all know it is. And the playoffs, last year's playoffs were amazing. They think the Ben Barber incident in the St Helens Wire game. And obviously the Wigan game against Cass. The 2 very high standard.
Whether we like it or not, as well, we are reliant on the TV.
Yeah,
broadcasting.
TV money, yeah.
We are as a sport, we're reliant on it. And playoffs work so much better for there. If we were first past the post, you won't get anywhere near as much money from Sky.
Exactly. Right, that concludes the Super League competition. Then a little bit about the Championship. Toronto played Bradford at the weekend, 36-16 victory for the Canadians.
In Canada?
In Canada, yeah. Bradford actually took a fair few people. I think it was rumoured to be about 250, 300 people. So fair play to them. On the field, different level of class as far as I'm concerned. Toronto were,
well, they've just got some old Leeds youngsters, haven't they, Bradford, now, really? About. There's some interesting talk. Ethan Ryan is being touted about at Super League at the moment, to get a gig next year as a young kid. Apparently signing with them Dead Dobbins, allegedly. So we'll see.
That can't be right. They only signed players from Salford.
Looks a decent player, does he, from Ryan? Toronto, for me, right, and I've said this all along, there's too many journeymen in their team. They would, if they came up to Super League, they would need to be. They'd have to release everybody and start again.
But they probably would do that though.
Yeah,
they'd spend big, wouldn't they?
And this is why I look at them, and they're not an organic club because London came up and there was the loyalty there shown to the players. It's a natural club in a natural position, generating income at a certain level and operating at that level. Toronto are a Frankenstein club where, but it is. It's because they're using somebody else's money. to subsidise them, and you take out that money, and it wouldn't be sustainable. So yes, they've got broadcast deals, and yes, they've got sponsorship deals, but they're all negotiated on the back of the directors that are involved with Toronto, and heavily influenced by those relationships. Those relationships go away. So does the sponsorship money, and so does the money that's going to fund that club. Toulouse are the club for me in the Championship. Who, again, it's interesting. Jonathan Ford's back fit for him, and I think he's the best player outside of Super League, hands down for me. You've got Mark Corella is the other player who would run him close, and he's also in the Toulouse side. I would love them to get promoted, and I think on a one-off game they are more than capable of beating Toronto. I really do. I think it comes down to the Championship will end up being a grand final, or hopefully a grand final of Toulouse and Toronto. It'd be a hell of a game, that. Dare I say it, and we touched on this earlier in Meat Pies and Shots, but I think currently the level that both Toulouse and Toronto are playing at, and I'd throw York into the mix here as well, is above that what the bottom three clubs in Super League are playing at.
I think that's a fair comment. Interesting on the Toronto side of things. We did mention this in Meat Pies 6 last week, which you can view on our YouTube page. Obviously, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.
On that note as well, please, we want to see some comments. We want people telling us how crap we are, please.
Well, we haven't actually had any negativity yet, which I'm sure there must be some people that think, Dan, you are a muppet, or Johnny, you're a bald idiot that don't know anything about the game. Dan, you're a tramp that needs to get your hair cut. Come on, what's the negativity? No.
Tell us what we can talk to you about.
We had a comment, a Toronto Wolfpack fan called Bob Edwards, and what a name that is, Bob Edwards. We questioned a few things about Toronto last week.
Oh yeah, I saw this. He
said rugby league in Canada is a generation away from developing any players. They're competing with rugby union, blah blah blah. I said they've got 11,000 registered rugby league players in Ontario alone. Yeah, we want to put a rugby league club in Ontario, don't we? It makes me think: are we thinking this through?
Well, if we've got 11,000 registered players, then
that's rugby union.
Rugby union players.
Exactly. So we're competing with rugby union.
As he said, right? I would say with Bob Edwards, if you're watching, and obviously you've had a look at this before when we had a go about it. That's exactly my point. It is a generation away, and putting you in Super League at this point is the wrong time to do it. You should have spent the next 10 years establishing these clubs first at whatever level. Yeah, put your infrastructure in place, make it organic, make it sustainable, and then come into Super League once you're ready to ride and you're riding roughshod.
This was my worry when we mentioned it last week. If Toronto came into Super League right now, for me there'd be another Paris Saint-Germain or North Wales Crusaders. Obviously they're still going, or Celtic Crusaders as they were in Super League. They're still going in League One now. That's what I see Toronto. It's not a long-term sustainable operation, is it?
No.
Not until they bring these, the structures in. And this is what worries me from Bob's comment here. We're starting from scratch. Reserve teams are a long way away in the future. The whole Canadian Association was only formed by Eric Perez a couple of years ago. And you wonder why English fans worry. We're not just thick flat cappers. We actually do have some, points to back up here with our opinions. And I would love for it to work in Canada, for a rugby league to take off, but we're also a little bit pessimistic because of history. We know that look at Catalans. Catalans are Super League, or to be fair, Catalans are rugby leagues, certainly rugby league in the UK, most successful expansion project in the past 20, 30 years. The reason they've done that, they've embedded themselves in the community in the south of France. They've got a home ground which they own, which they've been able to expand and obviously make it into a top-notch Super ground. It's a brilliant away day going to Catalans and just going in that corner in the seats in the big stand. And they've got a feeder club in the French league that obviously they can filter players from. And I must admit, half the team that played against Hull FC on Friday night was French. They had 10 French players in that team.
They say 100% with expansionism. It's simple for me. You've got to. It's all right bringing these clubs into the league and adding them to it, but you've got to have. And it's like building anything. You've got to have your foundations in place.
Yeah.
You've got to have your academy. You've got to have your reserve. You've got to have somewhere where you play. You can't just take a club and plonk them into Super League, give them 20 players and say, there you go. It just doesn't work because it's not sustainable. These clubs are built on the foundations of the fans, of their infrastructure, of their academy teams, of the players. In Toronto, have none of that. That's my issue with it. And they're usurping all these other clubs because they've had some investment and some money thrown into them. And fair play. These other clubs haven't gone out and found that investment and that and that level of support and that sponsorship. But the league, you have to trust the RFL here, and you have to trust the rugby league to govern your game accordingly. And it shouldn't be allowed to happen simply because they're being set up to fail themselves at Toronto. It's a common sense thing. You've got to look at it. It's like you wouldn't buy a house, not put your foundations in, just build it all lovely. You go out and buy all the nice looking bits on the outside and stick it there, and then go and live in it.
It's a grand design, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've seen the program, grand designs. That's what Toronto is. There's no foundation there. As I say, it's not. I have concerns about their long term future. I really do, and it's not.
What happens when they come into Super League and they don't win it in 4 years, and then they're going, oh, this ain't quite. They're competing in the bottom four with the likes of Huddersfield and Salford, because they will do for a bit.
Yeah,
that's where they'll be if they don't get what. And this, are they prepared to come up and then get relegated the next year? Because that's a very real possibility.
What happens then? In terms of okay, great, they maybe relocate, they get a better ground, they grow their fan base. But who's to say they stay in Super League, and if they do establish themselves in Super League, what happens to the Canadian team? What happens to the USA? Do the USA and Canada, do they get better internationally? When do they start bringing players through? That bloke's just said they're 20 years away from doing that. Sure, there's some red flags there. Just my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the way it is. Right, let's move on to my rant. Easter. Now, I'm yet to come across a Super League player who tells me that Easter is a good idea. And it's not just the Friday and the Monday, it's the following Friday. Yeah. And then the dross that's served up the week after that as well, because all the teams are busted and they're missing the best players. We are supposed to be a sport that's ever changing, that's always looking to improve. I mean, look at some of the rule changes that we bring in every year. It's self-evident that we do assess where we're at, and we're competing with lots of other, with football, with rugby union, with cricket, with all sorts of sports. For a spot in the market and on Sky Sports, and to try and establish ourselves. And we are harming our sport with this period. We're trying to cram too many games into such a short space of time. A rugby league tackle has been likened to a 30-mile-per-hour car crash, in terms of the impact of what you have. You're asking these players to repeatedly do it, then turn up and play again 3 days later, then turn up and play another 4 days later, and then turn up and play another week immediately after that, with no break, no real recovery time to them. Obviously, the standard's going to drop. One of the most amazing parts of this season so far has been the standard of the rugby that's been played. It's gone up another couple of levels on the last couple of years. I'd fallen out of love a little bit with rugby league over the last couple of years, mainly due to the standard of the rugby that was played. And I thought there were so many knock-on-a-thons, to coin a Sean McRae phrase, that the NRL and the Australian leagues looked so far ahead of where we were at. And I could honestly turn around and say I've seen games this year that have been comparable and have been better than NRL games. I look at some of our players and they're on a par with some of their superstars now. I can genuinely say that the gap isn't as big as I thought it was. But the dross that's been served up over the last couple of weeks, and it has been dross, and not just that whole FC across the board. You talk about that Wigan-London game, God, that was... Even the Wigan-Cast game the week before. Now, I, as a purist, rugby league purist, I quite enjoyed it because it was different, and it was a hard slog. But it's not something you want to see. It is. Yeah, if you're looking for a fan to tune in, who's seen the game for the first time, who's trying to wonder what's all this about rugby league. I've heard it's like amazing, and you tune in and you see that and you think, yeah, that's not so great. We're shooting ourselves in the foot, right? We need to. And that's even before you start talking about player welfare. The standard of the product suffers so much due to the scheduling around this time of year. It'll take 2 or 3 weeks for teams to start to get back to normal. I imagine the quality of some of the rugby this week won't be where it's... I reckon we'll probably see quite a few high-scoring games this weekend in the Cup, because teams have to chance their arm. It's knockout rugby, it's last chance saloon, and players are playing busted. They're coming back. We took a decision last week at Hull FC to rest our key men for this week, knowing that it put them at risk of not playing this week if they did turn up. Teams have had to target games and go. And there is only St Helens who's gone through the whole period undefeated. And even then, they went to the team in 11th place and had 26 points scored on them last week. You know, that's not a true reflection of where they're at. It just shows that the standard and the looseness of the game has dropped, and it comes down to the Easter period. And the only people that can do anything about it are the RFL, and they're not going to. It's not going to change, I don't think, anytime soon, because they make money off it. Because the broadcasters love it, they market it, they go for it. But those games on a Monday, and the games the following week, and last week, are
There's
just
only
not.
one TV game on the Monday though, so why not just hold one fixture back?
Yeah. Don't let them play on the Friday. Let them play on the Monday.
Or be smart about it. Do it over a massive long weekend. So you got a TV game on the Friday, a TV game on the Thursday, a double header on the Friday, one on the Saturday, one on the Sunday, one on the Monday.
We talk about the NRL and the things that they do well, and even their magic they've done differently to us. They've gone 2 games per day, and they've done it over. Or they've gone 2, then 3, then 3, then 2. So they've done it.
One the Thursday that's just gone now.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
One Thursday till Friday. And then 3 Saturday till Sunday.
Till Sunday, yeah. So they're doing their magic over 4 days. Yeah,
smart.
So you're not burning everybody out playing all together on one, and also not burning your audience out over 2 days and trying to cram everybody in, and do it that way. We just need to apply common sense to this Easter period, and it just fly. We give out all these messages about how we're trying to improve the content, we're trying to improve the standard, we're trying to look after players, and then we go and ask them to play 4 times in 2 weeks, and it's just not sustainable long term. Not at the level that these athletes are now playing at, and again, I talked about a 30-mile-an-hour car crash. Some of these guys are hitting the ball up 25 times a game, having 30-mile-an-hour car crashes every game. There's no wonder they can't then rock up and do it to the same standard and the same intensity the week after. Yeah. All that's going to happen is your best players are going to get injured, and the product diminishes, and we will lose viewers. We will lose people turning up to the game. We will lose TV deals. It just beggars belief that people think it's a good idea in the modern age to have Easter's run its course. The Easter period has run its course. As the game's evolved, we need to evolve our thinking, and thinking should be do away with that, particularly when we've already got too many fixtures.
No, I'd agree. I completely agree with that. It's a cancer of rugby league. My rant is short and sweet, actually. It's not particularly a rant, it's something that I really wish would book our ideas up and sort out. It's also something we've mentioned on Meat Pies and Shots before, and that is the Challenge Cup, and when teams come, and enter the actual competition. The reason I'm giving this some airtime now is because, your top Super League clubs, not your bottom 4 teams that have already played around, they come into the competition now, round 6, and, you've got Wigan Warrington, St Helens Huddersfield, Hull Cast, Salford Rovers, all Super League ties. You've got a couple, Wakefield, Witnesses intriguing to see how Witness can cope with Super League opposition. Obviously, the big one, probably the tie of the round this weekend, is Bradford v Leeds. The airport derby that's back. Be interesting to see what happens there. It's live on the BBC. I think it's 2:30 Saturday afternoon. So I'm looking forward to watching that. But my rant is why are we waiting until round 6 for the your top Super League clubs to enter the competition? This should be done way your rounds 3 and 4. I'd probably argue your amateur clubs, round 1 and 2, then you bring your championship clubs round 3, then you bring your Super League in round 4. You're giving two rounds there, opportunities for your lower tier clubs to get Super League opposition, which financially is huge for them. Plus, I want my Cumbrian ground tickets, don't I? I haven't actually been to Cumbria to watch Hull FC.
It's not missing much.
I want to do it. It's something I want to do. But you think of the payday for them if a Whitehaven or even a Dewsbury or York. Imagine there'd be intriguing ties now. Imagine York v Hull. York would go all out. That'd be a great tie. I just think we are playing it maybe a little bit safe now, and you only have to win 4 games to win the cup. It's over before it even starts. It's easy for us, for Hull FC fans, to say that. We obviously won back-to-back and only won 8 games in doing so.
All against Super League opposition.
Yeah, that actually needs air in itself. St Helens, Catalans, Wigan, Warrington, and the second year, Catalans, Castleford, the Hallam Globetrotter Castleford, Leeds, and Wigan. Pretty special, that.
Was.
Really special.
Really special. And we lost to St Helens in the quarter-final last year in a game that could have gone either way. And to say we wouldn't have gone...
That was Hull FC's best performance of last season.
It was really good.
It's crazy saying that in defeat, but it generally was. It was such a good game of rugby league. And let's say that's... The Challenge Cup, for me, it's the most prestigious competition in rugby league. It's an absolutely brilliant competition to win. You day out at Wembley,
You talk about it from amateur teams, though. You said there, right? Amateur teams can survive for years and years off the back of a big. As a fan as well, I used to love it when we would draw a lesser team in the Challenge Cup, and you get an opportunity to see some of the reserves, some of the young kids.
When I was a little lad, Hull FC played a Challenge Cup game against Lancashire Lynx at the Boulevard. I think they won 86-0. But again, when am I going to get? Well, obviously they're gone now, aren't they? They're defunct, so I'm never going to see Lancashire Lynx again. But the opportunities to
Frankenstein club with no foundation.
Yeah, but it's interesting to see. They're amateurs, won't they? So it's interesting to see. Those little teams give it a go against your big boys, and like you say, with some of the scopes in the Championship these days, I'd love more of that. I'd love York to have a crack at a Super League club. Tours obviously out in the Challenge Cup near Toronto, but imagine them having a crack at a Super League club. I think they can make the Challenge Cup is great, don't get me wrong, but I think there's the potential there to make it even better, and we can do that by bringing Super League clubs in an earlier round. I know we say we've played so many games already, but you can smarten this up. You can
do away with Magic. Do away with one of the fixtures.
Do away with Magic. Yeah, do away with playing aside 3 times in Super League, and then bring the cup forward earlier, and also bring back the Yorkshire Cup in pre-season. But hey,
I'd have Yorkshire v Lancashire as well, but I'm just greedy.
Well, not necessarily greedy. That you're taking away 6 fixtures for the teams you play 3 times. You get rid of the Magic weekend, so that's 7 fixtures. You're adding 2 more Cups games in, so that's still 5 less than we're playing now. 3 Origins, that's 2 fixtures less than we're playing now, and we're scrapping the Easter period.
Yeah, and not everybody would play in the Origins, would they? So.
Exactly. And yeah, so
there you go. We should run the RFL.
Rugby League masterminds right here. Right, that's it for Meat Pies and Shots this week. If you are an NRL fan down under in Australia, probably the 3 Australians that do listen to Meat Pies and Shots. If that number is more, please let us know. Subscribe, like, comment.
Or if you're a UK fan and likes what we talk about as well, then let us know. Please tell us. Please comment. That's what we want.
And don't forget to subscribe. That's Super League and the UK done and dusted. We'll see you soon for the NRL.
It's there.